Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We often hear the phrase, police are minutes away when seconds count, and a woman in Texas found that out recently for sure. I'm always on the lookout for defensive gun use cases because they don't get the coverage they deserve, and often the story is more about the crime itself with a quick aside that the victim wasn't harmed because they were armed, or sometimes the fact that they were armed isn't even mentioned at all. This story is one of those, in that the fact that the woman who was targeted wasn't hurt because she was armed, and it was only a quick aside, and it doesn't even tell us exactly what happened in her successful attempt to protect herself. Instead, the story is about her shock and disappointment and how long it took for law enforcement to respond. The story comes to us out of Austin, Texas from KXNAN and tells us that a woman survived what they call a terrifying home invasion, only to learn that she and her case were not a priority. But before I get into the details, this video is brought to you with the help of Blackout Coffee Company. Blackout is my go-to pro-Second Amendment coffee roaster, and I will tell you why. It is because they support channels like mine and have dedicated partner roasts that raise money for GOA, FPC, the Second Amendment Foundation, and more, so you know that your money is not only going to a good cup, but a good cause. So to get a cup of coffee, tea, or hot chocolate that you can be proud of and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/LibertyDoll, and as a bonus, use code LibertyDoll for a one-time 20% discount. According to the news outlet, Texas resident Shayla Worley was sleeping in her second-floor apartment in downtown Austin last fall when she realized someone else was in the apartment. She said that she woke up in the middle of the night to her dog barking, hearing her front door open and close. She said that when she heard the man's voice and saw him going in and out of the rooms, she realized that she had no idea who this guy was. She told the news outlet that she acted purely on instinct by grabbing her gun, telling him that she was going to shoot him, and chasing him out of the apartment, which good for her. Luckily, it seems that he wasn't armed himself, and she didn't get hurt or have to actually shoot, which, once again, is proof of the importance of being armed. That she got out of this unscathed, except for the rude 911 operator, but we'll get there. As soon as he left, she grabbed her phone and called 911. And then she learned that because the man was already gone, the police wouldn't be responding to help. Which, on the one hand, I can see them thinking it's no longer an emergency, she's safe, she's not hurt, it does not need an immediate response. But also to expect her in the middle of this situation to call the police is not necessarily reasonable either. How many stories have we heard of people calling 911 in the middle of one of these situations and then being attacked or having to use their gun while on the phone with police, which arguably could also be a distraction and cost them valuable reaction time in this situation? And how many times have we heard stories of someone thinking that they're safe and then the intruder comes back? Sometimes multiple times, sometimes with other people, sometimes with more weapons. This case, once again, shows us that when it comes to defending your life, you are on your own, and you need to be prepared for that.
Once things settled, she said she called 911.
She interrupts and says, well, did you call it in? And I was confused because that's exactly what I was doing, right? And so she meant, did I call it in while it was happening? And obviously the answer was no. There was not a single second to pause and try and call 911.
Worley said that she was told to complete the report online, and it took a few hours to do that. She had expected someone to respond to her call immediately, not to have to wait for an officer to eventually show up, which is how the news reported it, that the police chief, Lisa Davis, confirmed that they did end up arresting a suspect and that they eventually sent an officer to the apartment. It turns out this practice of telling callers to hang up and dial the non-emergency number if they're not in immediate life-threatening danger is a leftover from COVID time policies where Austin police picked and chose which calls they responded to, and they still haven't updated those practices. According to a previous interview with Davis, in 2021, APD told the public to call 311 instead of 911 to report nonviolent crimes that were no longer in progress. But in a March 2025 interview that the outlet had with Davis, she said officers once again began dispatching to lower priority calls. However, with staffing snags that have persisted since the city halted cadet classes in 2020, APD said officers cannot always make an in-person response happen. She's hoping that they'll have enough officers to respond to calls again in 2028. Which admittedly puts a lot of people in a pickle. They can wait for the cops to arrive while there aren't enough to respond by Davis's explanation, or they can defend themselves, but often get in trouble when they do defend themselves against an attacker. Davis told KXAN that she listened to the 911 call and that Worley did not say there was an active emergency, so the operator followed policy. But she did say the operator could have asked more questions or explained the policy to Worley rather than interrupting her and telling her to call a different number. The outlet itself asked for a copy of the 911 call, but the police said they couldn't give it to them until the investigation was closed. It is apparently still ongoing despite this happening last year and having a suspect in custody. According to court records, that suspect is a man named Robert Walters, who has an arrest record in Travis County dating back to 2014, which includes several other burglary offenses. As for Worley, she is safe and sound, but wasn't able to sleep through the night for weeks. She says she still wakes in a panic pretty often at the smallest noise and immediately needs to check her cameras to make sure there isn't someone in the house. Well, as you can see, I have a visitor that broke into the office, but that is the end of the video anyways. So you guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things. Please do them. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting. You want to say bye? Say bye. Okay, we're all done.